Welcome everybody to Stealth Elevation's podcast, broadcast. However you're listening or watching us, we certainly appreciate you. But more importantly, you should appreciate you for going on this journey. These episodes stack upon one another to develop you into an elite personality in life, leadership, relationships, and business. We're all about your elevation, that stealth stuff that no one sees you doing so that you can elevate to an outside and waiting world. Today, we're working on Elite Execution Mindset. It's Ultimate Goal Setting and Elite Execution Part 3. I'm Elite Leadership and Personal Development Speaker Joseph Chroniꓘ VanDusen. I'm a former B-2 Stealth Bomber Instructor pilot. I'm a current 787 Dreamliner pilot for a major airline. And I'm an entrepreneur helping you elevate in life, leadership, relationships, and business. We are going to get deep here. That's what we do. Are you ready? Let's go. Now, last week we talked about Ultimate Goal Setting and Elite Execution Part 2. I gave you a couple tools for your execution piece. We've developed our goals in Part 1, right? Our specific, measurable, timely goals. Now we're going out into execution. And so I gave you the tools of contingency plans and how goes at meetings. But guess what? None of that matters unless you develop the elite execution mindset, which is what we're going to do today. So how do we develop this elite execution mindset? You know, the tools, the strategy and tactics, the how goes at meetings, and the contingency plans that we gave you last week, those are great tools. But without the mindset of being a humble alpha killer, go back and watch that episode or listen to it. It's amazing because it gets you in that mindset. You need both of these things. You can have all the tools in the world, but if you got the wrong mindset, you're just not going to achieve what you want to achieve. You're not going to reach that level that you need to be at, right? So we need to get our minds right. Now, Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Robin Sharma, I'm big fans of all these people. Many others too. They have all done deep dives into the workings of the mind from different perspectives. But today we're going to take a deeper look and we're going to really correlate this mindset to execution, which really hasn't been done to the depth that we're going to do it. So let's focus right now. Let's take a deep breath, close your eyes. Just be present in the moment with me because this is going to be powerful stuff. We are going to correlate the mind with execution. Really cool stuff. If you're in the car right now, just focus on what you're doing. Obviously drive, but if you're in a place that you can just relax for a second, just take a deep breath and let the world just kind of erode away so that you can be present in this moment, right? So just take a deep breath with me. All right, that's much better. Here we go. Now, the names I mentioned before, Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Robin Sharma with a 5 a.m. club and really getting in that mindset of starting your day right? Dr. Joe Dispenza did plenty of work. He still does awesome mindset visualization work. Many books from him. Earl Nightingale is a little bit earlier and Napoleon Hill is way back in the 1920s. Amazing stuff, but really the scientific community still hasn't caught up with where our brains can go, and it's pretty impressive. All these individuals have studied different aspects of this, but we're going to kind of coalesce some different things. And the thing is, you're not going to be able to really prove it with science because we haven't caught up to it yet. So we need to just trust the process, implement it in our lives, and let's see what happens as we go deeper. The best part about this is you get it for free today. We're going to experiment together, and it's going to be amazing. You're going to see. Now, why do I want to focus on the mindset part of execution? It was critical in the stealth bomber. It was critical in Air Force culture in general. It's critical at the airline. We just don't realize that we're doing it. And actually, if we train to this level, it would be a lot better for everybody in business, in their relationships, in life, where we can really start to use more than 5 or 10% of our conscious brain. When we can get our subconscious working for us behind the scenes, it is amazing stuff. It's the power behind vision boards. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this, and having visualization and manifestation. It's the power behind meditation when you're sitting calm and embracing the universe or your belief structure in the mornings. Really set aside time to get to know yourself and dive deep into yourself in the morning time. Also in the evening before you go to bed. These are critical times to harness your subconscious power, and that will really help you bring about what you want to accomplish in life, in leadership, in relationships, and business. So one of the things we did really well in the Stealth Bomber, and that I'm really trying to bring into the business life, because this is so critical as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a leader, as an executive, CEO, board member, whatever you are, you need to develop these kind of attitudes in your life. You need to be humble alpha killer, which was one of the podcasts that we started with for this season. And then you got to work through all that stuff. Ultimate goal setting and elite execution. It helps you with your process, right? And now we're working on the mindset stuff, because it is so critical that we have our minds correct when we go about this. So what am I really talking about here? It's the power of harnessing your subconscious, but that's such a wacky thing. Like, what does that even mean? It's like hypnosis. We don't really want to touch it. We think it's like some dark occult thing that we can't really deal with, but we really need to change that mindset, because I'm telling you, if you can get this, if you understand how to harness your subconscious to go after your goals and your visualizations, your manifestations, you will become elite in life, in your relationships, in your business practices, whatever you do, especially in leadership, okay? We need to harness the power of our subconscious. Nobody talks about it, and it's huge, absolutely huge. Now, I was on a cruise ship recently, and they had a hypnosis show there, and I thought, well, I don't know, let's go check it out, I guess, When we go to the show, and it was fascinating. I don't know if you've ever seen anything like this, but I had not up until this point. And so the hypnotist gets up there on stage, he brings a bunch of people up on stage, and has them really concentrate and focus on a couple things. And eventually the hypnotist had the participants doing some really silly stuff at the subconscious level, and they weren't really aware that they were doing it, right? Now, I'm not going to get into hypnosis and all that stuff, but I do want to harness your subconscious mind to get you to go after your goals and your leadership styles and different things like that. So that's where we're going to focus, and I'm just saying that the power of the subconscious mind is so untapped, and we can make it do whatever we want. It is constantly working for you or against you depending on your thoughts. We're going to get into the whole thing that thoughts are matter. When you put out positive thoughts, you get those back. When you put out negative thoughts, you get those back. It all is cumulative, and it adds up over time. Now, I know what you're thinking, right? What the heck does this have to do with execution? You're talking about hypnosis for a second. You're talking about subconscious. And what I want you to take away is that our subconscious is so powerful. And it's not just saying to yourself, if I believe it, I can do it. That's one thing. It's a slogan, right? We've heard that for years. If I believe it, I can do it. Well, it's not just about believing and doing, right? It has to be deeper than that. It's about rehearsal. Can I rehearse my goals? Yes, you can. I'm going to show you how. What about visualization? Can I do that? Absolutely. Let's get into these deeper concepts. It's not just if I believe it, I can do it. Let's go. All right, so I'm going to introduce to you a few new concepts that will really help you on your execution journey and go after your mindset that you really need to get into for all this stuff. First one is compartmentalization. It's something we do in aviation. I'm not sure where I picked this up along the way, but it is something that is absolutely critical. So whenever you are facing a situation, either at work, at home, whatever, a crisis type situation, or you're just going out and executing on your goals, but you need to fully be in the moment, right? You need to be present in the moment. And you got all this stuff going on. Maybe you're going through a divorce. Maybe you have different family problems at home, health problems. Maybe your wife or spouse, significant other has problems, right? And you have to leave those things at the door. It's the very last thing I do before I take off in the 787 Dreamliner. I do compartmentalization, and it's been ingrained in my training for a long time now, ever since probably KC 10 days, I don't know, but a long time nonetheless. It's absolutely critical for you to execute at an elite level. What is compartmentalization? Compartmentalization is just simply taking all that external stuff that's going on in your life, and you think about it for a second and you're like, what is going on right now? What is preventing me from being fully engaged in the moment right now that I need to be in? Whether that's leading your team, leading yourself, your people, your family, you need to be engaged. There's something that is coming up and you need to be fully present in this. For me, I'm taking off, so I need to be fully present. There's 330 people sitting in the back, and I need to make sure that I am present not only for them, but for me, so that we can be fully safe and I'm ready to go. I'm in that state of mind that's ready to execute and go. So compartmentalization helps me do that, helps aviators do that, and that's something that you need to bring into your life. What is that? It's taking all those external things and putting them in a little container, right? And then putting that container in the back of your head that you're not going to think about. You're going to go out and execute right now. So I take everything that's going on in my external, my drive to work, all this stuff, the traffic, whatever the commute was, whatever, and I put it in this box and I put it back here. And now I'm free to go execute because I put myself in the moment. Okay, I say, all right, Joseph, you need to be present right now. Let's go, let's grow, and let's be safe, and let's go out and execute this mission, right? You need to do that for your leadership team. You need to do that for your life. You need to be present. Now it's balance, right? I'm not talking about doing this at all times so that you're an emotionless creature. I've been there, and I went through counseling and different things to get reconnected, rebalanced out. If you remember, Nine was on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he gave this great talk on the middle way. It's the Hindu way. It's not a religious thing, though. It's more just a balance, right, of your Zen energy. And you really need to have that middle way in your life. So you can't just function in a compartmentalized state the entire time. You have to be able to balance that out. But for critical things, when things come up at work or different crisis situations, maybe the car blew a tire or you got in an accident or whatever, you need to be present in that moment, and you need to compartmentalize and you put all your emotions in a box and deal with the situation at hand so that you can be fully present, rational, get away from anger or any emotional issue. You want to make sure that you are making decisions based on the facts of the present situation. Along those lines comes situational awareness, another aviation term that can be brought into the business world. Absolutely critical that you gain situational awareness all the time. If you're in critical meetings, if you're in negotiations, you need to gain and maintain situational awareness. Things change all the time. People's dynamics, all that stuff is changing. Well, how do you gain situational awareness? How do you maintain it? You listen to what's going on. You listen to the conversations going on. You look at the body language of the participants. For me, when I'm flying and I'm about to take the runway and there's a thunderstorm coming in, I'm gaining situational awareness by watching the thunderstorm come in, listening to the radio reports, who's going around, what's going on, is there wind shear. I'm gaining that situational awareness from my environment so that I can make the best decision real time on what to do with my aircraft. In the business world and as an entrepreneur, I'm looking at things like body language in meetings. And when I go out and meet people, how's the handshake? What's going on? What are the conversations like? What's my office temperature like? Are people coming in the morning happy and impressed to be at work? Or are they sad and just kind of like, maybe I'm creating that environment. So I need to have the situational awareness to be like, what the heck is going on here? I need to change that so that people are leaving happy for the day, right? I want them to be happy at work, more productivity, more fun. You got to create these environments. You cannot be disillusioned by a lack of situational awareness. If you're in a negotiation, you need to be reading body language. You need to be gaining situational awareness. You need to be listening to the conversations that are going on so that you can make the best decision at the given time. When you're doing sales, you need to be going out, listening to the client, right? How can I serve that client better? That's what I do all the time. How can I serve this person? How can I bring more value to this person? The only way that I can do that is by gaining and maintaining situational awareness. So critical, along with compartmentalization, being in the moment, okay? Another very important elite execution mindset tool is a concept called chair flying. Now, this isn't for everybody in every situation, but it does help to solidify concepts to execution very fast. It's a concept that I used multiple times in aviation. Whenever I'm learning a new airplane, I do this. Whenever I am doing something in business that it requires a lot of negotiation skills or sales concepts, I will do chair flying. It is absolutely amazing. So what is this all about, chair flying? Well, it's a process of just stepping through in your head what's going to happen, right? So I do this every time that I learn a new airplane. I go and I sit in front of a poster board which has all the switch positions on it and stuff, and I act like I'm going through the pre-flight all the way through to the landing and shutdown checklist. I basically program my subconscious, and that's something that we didn't really talk about, that aspect in the Air Force or in the airline, whatever, but you're programming your subconscious to help you learn all of this stuff. You are going through and visualizing and going through, this is what would happen on this flight, and this is how I take off, this is how I shut down, this is what this switch is doing, this is what that switch is. It is elevating your learning to an elite level, and you're able to bring concept to application very, very quickly. So in the business world, whenever I'm doing sales or learning a new program, marketing techniques, whatever it is, I'm going to go out and chair fly that. I'm going to work with the program. I'm going to go through the steps. Hey, how can I add more value to my client here? If their objection is this, I'm going to do this, because that way I can add more value to them, and I'm going to chair fly that whole scenario. That way I get the rep in my head, and I'm programming my subconscious to be present along with my conscious mind. Very, very powerful stuff. This concept of chair flying is extraordinarily helpful, especially if you are struggling with a concept and bringing it to application. I used this no more effectively than when I came to the B2 world and I had to learn the T-38A Talon. It was an awesome little fighter jet trainer, and it goes so fast. It's awesome. But the training program wasn't designed for someone like me. It was designed for someone that had been through the T-38 program and pilot training. It was just a refresher program. There were only 12 flights in the entire syllabus. So I had to learn at an exponential rate because I had never flown the thing before. I was really struggling at first. The airplane goes so fast, everything happens very quick, and you basically have to memorize all the checklists, which is something that I wasn't used to doing. And I was really, really struggling. I was highlighted in meetings, like, I'm struggling, what do we do with this guy type of deal, and kind of getting a red flag over my head, right? So I went home and I chair flew the crap out of the T-38. I was like, you do this for a loop, you come in at 500 knots, you're pulling to 4 Gs, right? You hold that all the way around, you come out, you're doing the aileron roll on the other side of it and all this stuff, and you go around the traffic pattern, gear down, left base, gear down, full stop, doing all the radio calls. You're doing the rehearsal in your head, which is the whole point of chair flying. And then you get better. You're getting an extra sortie in your subconscious. You're programming it in, and it works so well. It is so effective. You're going to see how this goes. So anytime that you're struggling with business concepts, learning new programs and stuff, you got to put in the work, and then also you have to chair fly it. You have to rehearse, and that really expedites your learning and putting it to application. You'll be surprised at how quickly, once you get your subconscious on board with your conscious mind, that you can learn new concepts and bring them to expert level, at an elite level. So let's go. All right, so let's implement one other concept here to really get your subconscious on board with your conscious mind, and it's called a rock drill. These things are amazing. And what you'll see with this concept of a rock drill, rehearsal of concept, is that it works really well in board environments, executives, any sort of negotiation or acquisition. You'll want to rehearse things before they happen so that you can pivot real time at a high level and still execute. So when things start to go south, you're ready to go with the rehearsal of concept with your team. The Blue Angels do this really well. If you just YouTube Blue Angels pre-flight briefing, you're going to see it. They get everybody in the room, and the flight lead goes through the radio calls just like they would, real slow. They're real methodical, but everybody's doing their jolts and their different things that they need to be doing. They're looking over their shoulder. They're doing the rehearsal of concept, and that's why they're able to fly 18 inches apart for so long. They've been through that. They've visualized it. They chair flew it, and now they're doing rehearsal of concept. So even if things go south, they're ready to pivot real time to an elite level and still execute, right? That's what you need to do. This is perfect for board members, executives, any sort of negotiation or acquisition process, things that are high level that need to pivot real time, and you need to capitalize on the weaknesses of your other party, or you just need to execute really, really well. And it also works in life too. So if you can rehearse things, same thing with chair flying type of deal, you need to rehearse as much as possible when you're going after your goals and program that into your subconscious. Get another sortie out of it, right? You are programming your subconscious to succeed. And that is what makes the difference between success and failure, or just setting your goals out there and not really achieving anything. You have the concepts that were previously addressed in this podcast, videocast, however you're watching us, but you have ultimate goal setting and elite execution. We've talked about specific, measurable, timely goals. We're out here executing. How do we execute at a better level? Well, it's contingency plans. It's how goes it meetings, but it's also this stuff, this mindset stuff, where we're talking about chair flying, rehearsal of concept. We're doing all this stuff to program our subconscious to help us achieve at a no-fail elite level, and that's where you need to be. We would do this really well in the stealth bomber too. We would go out and say, okay, so if there's a hung weapon, if somebody can't get the weapon off of the aircraft, we need to pivot real time. So we would come up with some words on the radio, and it would just be simple. The simpler the better for these type of pivots. We need to make sure that that everybody's on board, that they hear it, that they understand it, and they know what the heck they're doing. So like 3-4 words at most. And you just say, Reaper flight, pivot green. And then you would hear a response, 2, 3, and everybody would understand what was going on. They'd flex to the new mission, everything gets accomplished, right? So it's a real-time pivot with high priority that we really need to make sure that gets executed. And it doesn't matter what you're doing in life. You can do these rock drills and these pivots real-time for your execution. Okay, holy cow, we dove into the subconscious art of your elite execution today. Just to recap our elite execution mindset, right? We started out with the idea of compartmentalization, which is taking everything that's going on in the outside world, putting it in a little container in the back of our head, and focusing on the task at hand, the execution phase that we need to be involved in. Then we went to chair flying, the visualization of going through an entire mission or whatever you're learning in life to bring that learning to execution really fast. And then we concluded with rock drills, a rehearsal of concept, and how that can really change and elevate your way of thinking and doing and bringing the team together. All of this has to do with mindset, and it goes back to that humble alpha killer mindset. It's not about just believing that you can do something. You need to get out there and really ingrain it into your subconscious. Get your subconscious on board with your conscious mind. Put the two together. Go out and kill it. You got this. Let's go. Now, I know that you learned something today, right? If you like the podcast, videocast, drop us a like. Also, feel free to reach out to me on socials, right? We're on everything. Joseph VanDusen or Stealth Elevation. Find us, DM me your questions, comments, whatever. If you like it, if you don't, let me know. I try to be as accessible as possible because I want to answer your questions and help you and bring value to you in your situation. If you want to go deeper, Stealth Elevate, my book, it's been out for a while now. The audiobook is out now as well. You can find it anywhere. It's life leadership, relationships, and business. Deep dive. It's awesome. And it will really help you on your journey. If you're ready to bring me in for your conference or event, go to stealthelevation.com or elevate@stealthelevation.com is the email. Reach out to me there. We'll schedule a call. We'll talk about it. I'm excited to do that for you and your organization. Until next time, keep elevating, keep growing, keep moving, keep going. You got this. Let's go.